What's up guys, it's Rob. We're back in the shop. Today we're gonna talk about our M8 Softail dash. Now this dash only works on 2018 and up Softail models. The idea of our clamping surface on our dash is 1 1/4. We also include shims to neck it down to 1 inch. So we've already got our stock bar and riser set up off the bike and put on our Murdochs and our tracker highs. Now as you can see here, the stock dash just doesn't fit, doesn't clamp back up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the plug, and I'm gonna show you how to remove the electronics and install it on our new dash setup. We've removed our stock dash and top clamp setup. Now we're gonna remove these 4 Allen bolts to get the electronics out of the top clamp. Now these Allens are 3/32. And once you've got all the Allen bolts, just gently press out the electronics. Now, keep these 4 Allen bolts because you're going to reuse them in our new dash. Before you install your electronics into your new dash setup, you want to make sure that the rubber gasket is still encasing the electronics, as well as put just a little bit of blue Loctite on each of the 4 bolts. Once you got that set up, go ahead, drop your electronics unit into the new dash, paying mind not to bind the rubber gasket. It's a nice press fit. Then you can start and tightening your Allens. Now what I like to do is get a couple of threads on each one before I crank them down. That way it's bolted in nice and evenly. Okay, now that they're all cinched down, go ahead and give them the final tight torque. And now we can move on to the install on our risers. Now that we've got our electronics in our new dash setup, it's time to install our dash on our Murdoch risers. Now our Murdochs are 1 inch clamping surface, so you're gonna need to use the shims provided in the kit. Now what I like to do is I like to take the clamp that goes on the front side. I like to install that first. Pull back your wires just a bit, get that in there. Clock your shims to where they're pretty flush. Take your dash, plug in the electronics, making sure it's got a nice and positive click. Take your 2 shims, install them on there, mate them up to the clamp, and then you're going to take your bolts, put a little blue Loctite on there, and get them started. Just get a couple of threads on there first, and then you're going to want to adjust your shims. You can see how these shims have rotated a little bit. I just like to get them nice and straight. go ahead and tighten down the 2 bolts evenly. Do not tighten one completely tight before the other. You want to do it in a nice, even pattern. Paying mind to your shim to make sure everything is nice and uniform. And you can go ahead once you've got everything lined up the way you want at the height that you like, make sure that your cable is not being overly stretched, as well as your dash not interfering with anything like a tank. After you got all that set up, you can go ahead and torque down those bolts. And that's it. Now, keep in mind, if your risers have some powder coat on them, these may be a little bit tight, but that is totally fine, just as long as everything is clamped nice, evenly, and securely. After you get the install complete, go ahead and check to make sure all your electronic functions are working, as well as that there is no binding or interference of the dash with anything on the bike. If all that checks out, you're good to go. Thanks, y'all. Take it easy.